Thank you for joining us for our series, Interrogating Art, where we are exploring the works of visual art that are part of our newest special exhibition, Art Reframes History, which is on view now at the museum. I'm Nicola Longford, CEO of the Sixth Floor Museum at Dealey Plaza, and I am joined by Jens Lorenzen. Two of Jens's paintings are included in this installation, and he is joining us today from Germany. Welcome, Jens.
Welcome, Nicola.
Thank you very much for being here. What can you tell us about your artistic process?
Well, I'm a painter, and my work doesn't consist of collage. It's just oil on canvas. And my paintings look like torn down billboards. And in 2008, I wanted to do a piece about the reunification of Germany. And I took a canvas size 2 meters times 1 meter 40. And I had a lot of images, and I put them on that painting. And soon I had to realize that the space wasn't enough. So I put another piece aside and said to myself, make it a diptych. But there were too many motifs, so I made it a triptych. And after the fourth painting, I thought to myself, well, make the problem the solution. Go on until you're ready, but it never became, I never was ready, it always kept on going. So that was the birth of the idea of making a wall, a potentially endless painting. And it looks like a torn down billboard. And as you maybe see in the background here, this is the motifs are overlapping. So I see it as one big painting, which is just divided into elements. Like if when you have a concrete wall, it's always divided into elements. And so that's very useful, because you can carry it around and put it to different places. But actually it's more like a Kerouac's scroll, an endless text, but an endless text in paintings and pictures and images.
Well, you often use historical figures in your works. What inspiration do you draw from history?
Well, first of all, I think that history is kind of like the roots to a treetop. That's how history belongs to today. But on the other side, history is not the most important or primarily a focus of my view, because the artist is always interested in eternity, and eternity is timeless.
Two of your paintings that are here at the Sixth Floor Museum, Hit Week and Superman, how did you create, what inspired you for these two particular images that we have?
Yes, it's a chain of associations. That's what characterizes my work. So when you see Hit Week, you don't really know why it is in the series with the Kennedy works, with the Kennedy series. And it's because if you look to the previous piece, the previous element, you find Hit and Run. Hit and Run is a CD that was brought out by a punk band in New York. The punk band's name was Jack Ruby. And as we all know, Jack Ruby killed Oswald. And they did this CD, Hit and Run. It was between 73 and 77, 1973 to 1977, this band existed. And so I found this CD in New York on 18th Street in Manhattan in a record store. And I was amazed because Oswald was on the cover, and inside it said Hit and Run. So I bought it. And then I went with my wife to Jerusalem. And in Jerusalem, in an antique store, we found this magazine, this Dutch famous magazine, Hit Week. And John Lennon is on it. And the amazing thing is that Hit and Run, and Hit Week, have the same word, hit, but has a total different meaning. And that's always what's fascinating me. Plus, furthermore, Hit and Run has to do with the assassination of Kennedy, and Jack Ruby and Oswald is inside that theme, and Lennon was killed too. And Hit and Run has to do with music because it's punk, and Hit Week has to do with music because it's a music paper. So all these things are connected, and that's why I put things together.
You were a baby at the time of the assassination,
Sure.
but it was many years later that you sort of rediscovered or discovered the story of the assassination by finding this magazine.
Yes, for example, yeah, sure. But when I found the magazine, and then I was already in the theme. I started with the Kennedy series because I went to the museum in Berlin, the Museum the Kennedys. It has a big collection of items from Kennedy and his time. And there I found a billboard for his, when he was running for presidency. And it was an amazing billboard. I was fascinated. And I took that image and put it into my wall. And from that moment on, I started and kept on going, because Kennedy is a very fascinating person. And there are so many crossings, you know, and you always, I always stumble across them kind of and find many associations. And that's why this wall is already going on like maybe for 20 pieces. No.
How long does it take you to work on a particular segment of this series? For instance, you came to Dallas in 2014 to look at the museum's collections and understand a little bit about the historic site and the building in which the museum's housed, the former Texas School Book Depository. What did you learn there, and how long did it take before you incorporated whatever your experiences were, what you learned, into your works?
Well, to make such a one painting, it takes about 2 months. 2 months of work in the studio. But I'm working on many pieces at the same time. So, but it needs to, you know, grow, and it needs a lot of time for the oil color to dry and to go on. You know, it's just a lot of working handcraft process. You know, when I take color slides with my analog camera that I have always at hand from all the motives, and I took a lot of slides from a photography from your museum and even from the library. I mean, Krishna Shinoy, she helped so much. She took me to the library and we looked through all the magazines. You know, I get hundreds of slides I took home, and this is my archive. And my archive is very, very big. It's thousands of color slides. And there's no organization, you know, nobody would look through all those slides but me, because I know where they are, you know. And so I pick them out and put them into my, you see, I have this slide projector here, and then I beam things on the canvas, and then I can paint them.
So when you were in Dallas,
I still sometimes when I work on the Kennedy series, I go back into my archive and find things that I found in your museum, and then I put them into my work.
Would you like to speak about the things that you found here in Dallas that are now represented in your paintings?
Sure. What I was totally fascinated about were the cardboard boxes, which says books, building for today and pioneering for tomorrow, or something like that. That's on those boxes. And they were the hiding place for Oswald. And I've never seen them in any catalog or anywhere, but they were just, you know, piled to this wall, and I took pictures of them and integrated them into my work. I mean, fascinating motive, for example. And there's the Hertz Rent-A-Car sign that was on top of the building when Oswald shot, and you know, I took that and put it into my wall, and I came from Hertz Rent-A-Car to Ford, and I came to Ford Mustang and Ford Maverick, and then I came to the Dallas Mavericks, and then I was by Dirk Nowitzki, and you know, that's how it works. You know.
What other figures from American pop culture do you find interesting?
Well, you know, I when I was 16, 17 years, I was for 1 year I went to the States. I was an exchange student, so American pop culture really influenced me a lot. So there's a lot of references are always, integrated into my work.
Good sound effects in the back.
You hear
Yes.
the ambulance?
Yes. We
Yeah.
have the same noise here as well.
Yeah.
What else would you like us to know about your paintings? And we're so grateful that you've just donated 2 more from this series, and we cannot wait to put them on display. But tell us what you're working on right now.
What I'm working on right now, you see it right here in the bag, and it's about Corona at the Olympic Games, because everybody knows that they had to be they couldn't take place in Tokyo, and this is for the International Olympic Committee, and those paintings will be handed over in the end of October to Thomas Bach. And yeah, I really like that theme because I'm doing karate, and I could put karate and all these motives into these paintings, and yeah, that's what I'm working on right now. Maybe I can add something still.
Yes, of course.
I forgot something that I thought was very important. It was about the Texas School Book Depository going, the sign,
Yes.
and that was one of the amazing motives I found in your museum too. And you find it on those pieces that are shown in the exhibition. And but this sign doesn't only appear on those paintings, but it goes back. If you go back in the row, I think 3 or 4 pieces, then it starts. And it starts, I think it's number 30. There you see a Fahrenheit 451 from Ray Bradbury. And that's about burning books, and that's why underneath that book cover, you find a little, sneaks through the first time it appears books. And then on the next painting, you see, school books and Texas School Book Depository. And then it kind of appears even more. And then you see it in those pieces that you have in full sight.
There's such a lot of symbolism in your paintings. How do you help people understand each segment of your really enormous body of work in the Wall series? Well, how do you help people understand the context in which?
You cannot. It's impossible. But isn't it an experience of life that we only have a small view of the whole thing? Yes. I mean, it's like Goethe said in his Faust, the whole thing is only for God. So I'm kind of playing God, and I know how it's connected, but you only see a sequence of it. But there's a sense to it, there is a meaning, it has a reason, and you can be sure there is a reason, but you have to be satisfied with what you're seeing.
Living with COVID-19 right now, how is that sort of inspiring you or inhibiting your ability to get out and discover new things? Or are you doing it all over the internet?
No, yeah, but that's really bad because we wanted to go to Dallas to visit you and the exhibition, and I had a big exhibition was planned this year in September in Jerusalem. It's all canceled, We didn't do one trip this year, and I have enough material. That's not really a problem, but if this goes on for years, it will be very bad.
Well, you've already started incorporating a bit of the virus into your work now. Do you think that will continue as long as this pandemic is affecting the world?
Yeah, probably, because this is about the coronavirus too, And yes. Actually, I got to that theme because of Fast and Furious, that drinking Corona beer, and Corona is Corona, and that's how it got into my work. But it's very much affecting me, sure.
Well, we're coming out of another crisis, another tragedy. I don't think it will be years before we really understand the effects of this period in which we're living.
Absolutely, yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. And it's been wonderful having this opportunity to talk to you via the internet. And so we look forward to sharing your paintings with the visitors. And thank you all for being here as well. Art Reframes History will be on view at the museum through the spring of 2021. And we hope that you'll visit us in person. And please join us for our next series in Interrogating Art with museum curator Stephen Fagan, who will be speaking to Dr. Paul Sokol about his photographic triptych. Thank you so much.